Hi, welcome back to Horn and Fin Outdoors, and thank you for coming to watch my unboxing, setup, installation, and review of the Spypoint Flex S solar trail camera. Cellular trail cameras are some of the hottest things in the hunting markets these days. There are all kinds of manufacturers and different cameras to use, but today we're going to be focusing on the Spypoint Flex S. Now, I am not unfamiliar with Spypoint products. As you can see next to me, I've used Link Micros before. I've done a review video on each of the cameras here next to me. One is the Link Micro Solar. I'll put a link up in the upper right hand corner of this video to the review I did of it, so you can check that out if you want to. And then next to it is the Spypoint Flex G36. I also did a review video on that one, and I'll put a link in the upper right hand corner so you can check that video out as well. Today we're going to talk about the Flex S, and I just want to give you a quick little disclaimer before we get into this. I am not sponsored by Spypoint. I don't get these cameras for free. I go to the store, or actually I went on Amazon just like you do, and I buy these cameras for the same price you do, and I'm just a regular consumer who happens to have a YouTube channel, and I like making these videos. If you like this camera or those cameras or anything you see in this video, I am going to put a link to them in the description and also the comments of this video, so you can go there and you'll have everything you need in one place. You can buy everything you need for the camera. It will be all the stuff we talk about in this video, so you'll be all set up and ready to go. Now, this camera is actually got some really good specs on it when you read the box and the specs on the camera. First of all, it has a 100-foot detection range and a 100-foot flash range, which is pretty far. It's awesome as far as trail cameras go. It takes 32 megapixel pictures, which is great resolution, and it records video in 1080p. So it's HD video. This thing, what's nice about it compared to some of the other Spypoint cameras, it will take photos and videos and transmit both the photos and videos to your cell phone. The trigger speed on this is 0.3 seconds, which is lightning fast. Most of the other cameras you're going to find on the market are going to be all about the 0.3, 0.4, 0.5 second range. So 0.3 is pretty good. The SIM cards on this are internal to the camera. So you don't have to choose a Verizon or an AT&T network. You just buy the camera, turn it on, and whatever signal is the best signal for it, it's going to run on that network. Now, an important thing to remember about these cameras is no matter what cell phone carrier you're using on your phone, it has nothing to do with the camera. So you can have T-Mobile or Boost Wireless or whatever on your phone. These cameras are going to run off either AT&T or Verizon. It will send the pictures to Spypoint server, and then it gets to from Spypoint server to your phone, no matter what you're using. So don't worry about matching that stuff up with these cameras. And the last thing I want to talk about before we open this box up is this camera has a solar panel on it. So that's going to help keep your batteries charged and hopefully keep the batteries going longer, which, as we all know today, it's expensive to power trail cameras. We'll get into that a little bit more as well. So next up, we're going to open up the box, tear into this thing, and see what's inside. Well, we're ready to tear the box open, but there's one step you're going to want to do before this. If you are not a Spypoint customer already, what you need to do is go onto your computer or your cell phone and go to their website. Go to their website. In the upper right-hand corner, there's a little like a shadow of a guy. You can click on that, and it's going to be set up an account. You're going to want to set your account up in there. Enter your email address, enter a password. You can also put your credit card in there for billing when you're going to need to set up a plan on this, which we'll talk about later. But set up your account first. Once you get your account set up, then take your cell phone and go ahead and download the Spypoint app onto your phone. Once you get that downloaded, you can then use your login information for your account that you've set up online. log into your Spypoint app, and you're going to be ready to set up your camera. If you are already a Spypoint customer, you don't have to worry about that because you're ready to go. So let's get this box opened up and let's see what we've got inside. All right, so right off the bat, I can see the camera. This camera is the same size as the Flex G36 camera that I did a review on, except it's got a solar panel mounted on the top of it. I've never set one of these up before, so I may have to do a little reading about it. But so this is the camera. They are nice and compact. They are not quite as small as the Link Micro, but they're also not as large as the Tacticam Reveals. So this is a good sized camera. If you are concerned with concealability because you're putting this on public land and you don't want someone to notice it or steal it, it's a little bit bigger than some of the other cameras. So that's something to think about. We got the camera there, and inside the box here is also some sort of power cord, which I don't know what this does yet, but I'm pretty sure it's to charge the solar panel. There is a strap to mount it to the tree. I don't use these straps. I prefer to use either a mount that I make myself. And if you want to see how to do that, in the upper right hand corner of this video, there'll be a link to watch that video. It's a fun little project. It costs about $4 or $3 to make them. Or if that's not your speed, you can use the HME trail camera mount, which I like to use. I also did a review on those, and I will put a link in the upper right hand corner so you could check out that video. And with the HME, just like the HME mount, just like the other stuff we're going to talk about, if you want to buy one, the link is going to be in the description and also the comments of the video. So I'll show you later on why I don't like to use these straps. I've got the antenna on here, and it has a rubber boot mounted to it, which I kind of like to help seal it. And then there is the instruction and the quick start guide. Okay, I'm going to tell you this. We're going to take a pause. I'm going to grab a beer. I'm going to read through this quick, and I want you to do the same thing because there's important information in here, and it helps just to read it. So there's going to be a few little nuggets of information in this thing, but I'm going to take a quick break, grab a beer, have a drink, read through this real quick, and then we'll get back to setting this camera up. As expected, that was quick and easy. And I'm glad I read it too because it told me something that I didn't know about this camera. The cellular panel has an internal battery on it. So what you want to do is when you get this camera, the first thing to do is open up the little flap in the back that has the external charging port or external battery jack, plug the charger cable into it, and then plug it into a USB charger either in your computer or a charging block that you can plug into the wall, and let that charge for 12 hours. Now, when you plug it in, the red light is going to turn on, and once it's done charging, the light is going to turn off, and then you know it's charged. For this video, we're just going to keep on pressing through. We're going to take this little red connector cover off there, and we're going to put the antenna on. Now, with any antenna on any camera, you want to spin that antenna on, and as it starts to get snug, just snug it up a little bit. It should be tight and it shouldn't flop around. But what you don't want to do is keep wrenching on it, especially with some of the older cameras. That connector would spin and it keeps spinning, and then you twist the wire right off the back on the inside, and you may not know you did it, and then your camera has no service and you don't know why. So just be careful, snug that up, and be good with it. Now I'm going to take the little sticker off the lens there, and I'm going to open up the battery compartment on the bottom. And what you're going to see is, just like the G36, there is a button there to format your SIM card. There is a test button there, which is a feature that I really like on a camera, where when you're setting it up, you can hit that test button, and that way you know that it's sending pictures and everything's connected right and it's working fine. And then there's your on and off switch. Above all that, there is a battery level LEDs there. There's also LEDs to tell you what your signal level is. And there is your status light on there, as Spypoint has on all their cameras. When you look on the inside of the door, it tells you, there's a little code there to tell you what the status light means. So if your camera is doing something and those lights are lit, it'll explain to you what the camera is doing. One thing to remember about Spypoint cameras, a tip I'm going to give you is, if that status light is on, do not shut your camera off. Wait till the status light goes off. That means the camera is not working anymore. It's done doing what it was supposed to be doing. Shut the camera off then. If you shut it off while the camera is transmitting or taking a picture, you risk messing up your camera. If you look at the bottom of the camera here, there is your tray where for the batteries to go into. We're going to talk about that in a second. And then there's a little tab there that you can remove for your SD card. And it tells you for your SD card, right on this little tag, it says a 2 to 512 gigabyte class 10 micro SD card required. Now, what I'm going to be putting into this camera is a Spypoint brand 16 gigabyte class 10 micro SD card. Let me tell you something that's going to help you out with any trail camera. Use what the company tells you to use as far as SD cards. If they tell you to get a class 10 micro SD card, get a class 10 micro SD card. If they tell you that you can go up to a 512 gigabyte card, don't go higher. Some of the other cameras that I've had before tell you that 32 gigs is the max. This is one of the most I've ever seen for capacity. Use what they tell you to use. If you use a card that is not specified as the right card to use, it may work for a little while, but it's eventually going to give you problems. And I've seen that happen with multiple brands of cameras. So I'm going to link this Spypoint card to you so you can purchase this one if you want. But we're going to put this card in there. I have already formatted this card in a computer, which is easy to do in a computer. That's why I do it that way in my laptop. There is also the format button on here to use, but make sure you format your SD card before you put it in there. What that does is that prepares the card to receive and transmit the data that the camera is going to write to it or send out. So especially on a brand new card. Remember though, it erases everything that's on the card. So if you have pictures on your card, remove the pictures first or put them onto your computer, whatever you're going to do with them, and then format the card. So this is a formatted 16 gigabyte class 10 card, and I'm going to put it in there, and all you do is just stick it in the slot, push it till you hear a little click, and it stays in place, and you're all set. So our memory card is inserted. Now let's talk about powering this thing up, which is what a lot of people are always asking about if you're monitoring any Facebook groups. It comes with a tray, and this tray will hold 8 AA batteries. I'm going to tell you this with AA batteries. They are my least favorite option when powering a trail camera. They're expensive and they're disposable. So you go to the store and you buy 8 batteries, it's going to cost you, I don't know, I think like 20 bucks. And for me, being in the Northeast, I have cold weather temperatures outside. They recommend using a lithium battery, which is even a little bit more expensive. An alkaline battery in cold temperatures will tend to die quicker than a lithium battery will. So if you are in a cold weather climate, you definitely want to use lithium batteries. So that's your option number 1, is 8 AA batteries to put into this camera. Now, option number 2, which is a much better option, is the Spypoint LIT22 battery. This is a rechargeable lithium ion battery, and it is, I think, 5.7 milliamp capacity, or amp hour capacity, which means that it has more capacity for power than the AA's have, so it's going to last longer for you. Also, it may be expensive. It's, I think, about $49 to buy them, but they're rechargeable and reusable. So what I do with my cameras is I have a couple extra batteries. So when I put the camera out in the woods, when the battery's getting low, I just take a new battery out to it, stick it in the camera, pop the old battery out, stick the new battery in, take the old battery home, charge it, and wait to recycle it into another camera. When I buy my batteries, I usually will write on the back or the front the date that I bought it, so that way I know how old the battery is. And what I found with rechargeable lithiums is I've been getting 3, 4, 5 years out of the batteries, charging them up, probably 3 or 4 times a year, something like that. This battery pack is a great alternative to AA batteries because it's going to last a little bit longer and you can keep reusing it. So while it's expensive up front, it saves you money in the long run. Now, to me, my ultimate power source for my trail cameras is an external battery box. I have here this HME battery box. I think I have 12 of these. I run them in all of my cameras. And I do the same thing as with the rechargeable batteries where I have an extra one so I can swap them out occasionally and I know which one's charged or which ones have been out. These battery boxes cost anywhere from $50 to $70 on Amazon because the prices fluctuate, but they are a great option. It has a connector on the back, which is plug and play with these Spypoint cameras, so you can just plug it right into that jack in the back. It also has a solar panel on it to charge the battery inside, but the battery inside is gigantic, and it's kind of heavy. It weighs a few pounds, but the battery is big, and it lasts a long time. I can put one of these boxes on my cameras, and it will last for more than the whole hunting season, depending upon how I've got my settings on the camera. The battery inside of this is replaceable, so a couple of these boxes I've had for I think 5 or 6 years, and I just replaced a couple of the batteries this year. They're like $20 to replace the battery, and you can get them on Amazon. Pop the new battery in there, charge it up, and it's ready to go. For the purpose of making this video and setting this camera up, we aren't going to use this external battery box. I just wanted to give you options of what you can do to power your camera. So my least favorite option, AA batteries in the tray. I don't have any camera with AA batteries in it. My next favorite option is a rechargeable lithium battery. I use some of these in my Tactican cameras, and I also have them for my Spypoint cameras. So they're a great option. And my number one option, which is the external battery box. So for this video, we are going to take this battery, we're going to put it in here. There's only one way to insert it. That's going to let you close the door so you can't mess it up. Put that battery in there all the way till it kind of pops into place, and we're ready to go. Now, the next step, since we've taken this thing out of the box, we've put an SD card in it, we have attached the antenna to it, we put a charged battery in it, and we also charge the solar panel battery that's on here. We're ready to link it to our Spypoint account, set this thing up, and get it out in the woods. So we're going to move on to that next. We're going to get it linked up, and we're going to start having some fun with this camera. We have successfully taken this thing out of the box, put the antenna on it, charged the internal battery, put the SD card into it, got another battery put into it, and now we are ready to link this to our Spypoint account. For this, we're going to do the rest of this from the app. So I have opened up my Spypoint app, and you can see my other 2 cameras that I have that are in the app. And in the just a quick overview of what's going on in here. On the bottom left is an icon that says cameras. That one's orange because that's the screen we're in. If you click the next button to the right, that's the gallery. Those are my pictures I have. And then maps. And once you set this up, you can have your cameras, you can find out where some of your cameras are if they have that feature on them. And then weather, it'll tell you your weather stuff for where you are, and it will also then have a help center over on the right hand side. The top right, that is your account, and you can set up your account the way you want to in there. But what we're going to concentrate on right now is that little orange circle in the bottom right with the plus sign in it. That's where we're going to start adding this camera in. So I click on that, and it brings up a drop down that says select a device model. We're going to scroll through to the Flex S. That's what we've got. Make sure you pick the right camera. So Flex S, and we go to the next one. Now, It's giving you a make sure you charge the internal battery up, and we just going to click got it. I'm going to try and set this up without charging the battery overnight because I'm moving along in this video, but for your camera, make sure you charge that battery. The next step is to scan the little QR code that's inside the door on the bottom here. Unfortunately for me, since I'm recording my screen on my phone right now, it won't let me scan it. I tried it with my last two videos, it doesn't work. So I'm going to enter this number in manually at the bottom. For you though, you can click scan, it'll bring up your camera on your phone and you scan that QR code and it will automatically register your camera. So I am going to quickly put that in there. Give me 1 second here because I can't type that fast, and look at this. Okay, so now that I've got that in there, it gives me the next button and I click next. I don't have a promo code and I don't have a referral for the bonuses that go with that. And I'm going to click activate my device. Congratulations, the device is set up in your app. Now what you're going to see is when you click see my devices, you can see in the middle of the screen there it says the camera has not reported yet and may take a while, pull a refresh or come back later. Here's a little tip when you're inside this app and you're looking for pictures or anything. Pull down on that app with your thumb and you can see the little swirly thing come up at the top. It will refresh your app. Now the reason why this camera is not coming up is because I have not turned it on yet. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn this camera on and I'm going to let it go through its process of setting itself up, and I should be able to get a signal inside here. There's lights flashing, everything's flashing green right now. It's doing its whole setup where it's going to start looking for a cell signal and doing the internal setup of the camera. But I'm going to let this go for a minute or so until it gets a chance to connect with Spypoint and then connect back to my phone again. It should only take about a minute or so. Now, what I want to tell you about, which I believe I forgot to mention, these cameras have firmware in them, kind of like a computer or anything else. And if I mentioned this already, just skip over it, but I want to make sure I put it in there. Before you deploy your camera every year, go online and check for the latest firmware. You may have to update your firmware in your camera. We're not going to talk about that, how to do it in this video, but you just want to make sure that you're doing it. So I'm going to again go back here, I'm going to swipe down, and there we go. The camera popped up. Now I may get a picture. I'm going to turn the camera off really quick. No lights were on when I turned it off, and I'm going to explain to you why I just did that. The camera is now connected and it will operate the way it's supposed to operate. However, before I go out in the woods, I want to go through some of these settings with you and show you how I set my camera up when I'm installing it, so that way I can get out in the woods, get this thing set up quickly and be gone. Now, if we look here on the app screen that we're looking at, you will see the Flex S is listed on there. It shows the photo transmission plan I have, which is a free plan. You can change that if you want to. It has 30 days left. I haven't taken any pictures. There is a signal strength of 90%. The battery is at 100%. So that's where you're going to get the basic of what's going on with your camera. If we click on status on the left-hand side, that's going to bring up your status of what's going on with the camera. Now, my signal's at 90%. Solar-powered battery is at 19%, 18%. That's because I did not charge it overnight. Well, I have a battery in it that's 100%, so we're okay with battery power right now. It tells you how much room you have left on your SD card. It's going to tell you when the last communication was. It tells you the temperature, and then down below a little bit farther is where you're going to find out some more information about your camera, like the firmware that we just spoke about. So this is a Flex S, and there's my firmware version down there. And if you want to check your cameras before you deploy them into the woods every year, that's how you go and find it, and then go to Spypoint's website and find out if there is firmware to upgrade. And then this last installation activation code. I'm going to click the back button at the top, and then we're going to click gallery. We're going to go to gallery. Of course, I'm going to refresh it, but I don't think it sent a picture yet. There's no pictures there because we just turned the camera on. So I'm going to go back to cameras again. I'm going to click the center button that says plans, and that's going to bring up the plan. Now, one of the things that I really like about Spypoint is that you can select a free plan that sends 100 pictures a month. This plan would work great for you if you're using this camera to, let's say, monitor a hunting camp when you're not there, or monitor a property to make sure nobody goes on it. Something where you're not getting a lot of action. Everything else, you're going to end up having to pay for it. So the basic plan is $5. The standard plan is $10, and the premium is $15. This is going to depend on how you have your camera set up and where it is. If you put your camera, like I said, maybe monitoring a road into your property that you're expecting nobody to be on, you're not going to need a lot of pictures. But if you put your camera over a feeder or a corn pile, you're going to get tons of pictures. Not only deer, you're going to get squirrels and raccoons and birds and everything else. So depending upon how many pictures you use is the plan you're going to select. And that's going to be up to you and how you have your camera out there. Let's go to the settings now, and let's talk about how I'm going to set it up before I put it in the woods. So at the top there, you'll see Manage Device. So if I look at Manage Devices, I have the device name, and I don't, for this video, I'm not going to change it, but you can change the name of your device. And what I like to do, a little tip, is I number my cameras. So I will write on the camera like number 1, and in here I will name it number 1, and then I'll write a description of where I'm going to set it out, like cabin trail or whatever. And I always leave that number in the name no matter where I put the camera. That way I know what that camera is because I can check the number, I can check it in here. So it's a little tip when you have multiple cameras. Operating mode is standard. Delete device. Delete device is something to remember because if you sell your camera, you're going to have to delete it or else the person that buys it won't be able to activate the camera. So that's just a little, hopefully you won't want to sell your camera, but if you do, you need to do that. Image capture, next one down. I like to set mine up for video. It came set on photo, but as you change settings, you'll get these little warnings on there. It's going to create a preview in the gallery, and each preview deducts 3 photos. You know, it is what it is. So I set my video, I set it on video because I like to have videos. Motion delay. Here's one of the important settings when you're setting your camera up. I set my delay when I set the camera up to instant. So there's no delay in pictures. So as I'm setting my camera up, I know it's taking pictures and sending them to me. If you set this camera up over a corn pile or a feeder, you're not going to want instant because you're going to be getting constant pictures of birds and squirrels and everything else. So after you set the camera up, you're going to adjust that delay to what works for wherever you have your camera set up. If for me, my camera that I'm using to monitor my hunting camp when I'm not here, I have that set on instant. So if something triggers the camera, and if it's still there, it'll keep sending pictures. Now my cameras that I have that I set up over a feeder, I might set the delay to 4 minutes or 5 minutes. So I don't want that thing taking constant pictures of a deer for 20 minutes while he's there eating. Sensitivity, medium. I leave all my cameras set on medium when I put them out in the woods at first. If I need to adjust that, which I rarely don't, you can click on it and go change your sensitivity to low, medium, or high, depending upon how many pictures you're getting or not getting. And then we're going to collapse that, and we're going to go to cellular setup. This is pretty simple. Your daily sync time, you can select when you want your camera to transmit your pictures to you. Now, you can see the next line down says sync frequency each detection. So right now, I want to leave that on each detection because when I go and put this camera in the woods, I want it to send the pictures to me automatically so I know it's working. However, maybe you don't want to do that because that chews through the batteries. So I choose to set my cameras up where during the off season, it will transmit pictures to me once a day. And you can set the time up in the top that it's going to transmit the pictures. Then you can set it, as you can see here, you can scroll through and you can change it a bunch of different times, but I have it each detection. And what happens is when it comes into hunting season, I change that setting to each detection because, excuse me, I may want to be aware of an animal at that particular time. So you can adjust your settings as the year goes on for whatever you're going to be doing to better help you manage these cameras as a tool for you. At the bottom there or farther down, you're going to see cellular. You can turn the cellular off on this camera and use it like a regular old-fashioned trail camera. I don't know why you would want to do that. It's kind of an expensive camera to buy to not have it transmit pictures to you. So you can turn your cellular usage on and off. And then at the bottom, take a photo, a video at next sync. I turn that on most of the time because I want, when the camera checks in, I want it to take a picture so I know it's working. It's also a good way to kind of keep track of what's going on out in the woods. Is there snow on the ground? Is it raining? I mean, remember, a lot of people set these cameras up 2, 3, 4 hours or even farther away from your house. So it's a good way to manage or monitor what's happening where the camera is. That's that settings, and we're going to go to general now. General is just basically setting up the format for your date and time if you want to do that. Battery type, it gives you the option of going auto or AA lithiums. We're just going to leave that set on audio. Now, important thing here, at the top right, you see the little save icon. Click save, or else all those settings you changed won't be saved. Now, the reason why I did it this way for shutting the camera off and then adjusting the settings is because now, when I go put this camera in the woods and I turn it back on again, it's going to upload all those settings into the camera, and I don't have to try and do it while I'm out there waiting for the camera to send me everything. So I prefer to do it this way when I first set a camera up in the woods. That way I can be in the woods and I can check that it's sending pictures and everything's set up correctly and I have it aimed correctly. So we have got this camera set up and ready to go. The next step is to bring it outside, put it on the tree, and get the thing running right. So, no time like the present. Let's go do it. All right, we're outside now, and I've got this thing on the tree that I want to set it on. What I want to tell you about first is the mount I'm going to be using. I don't like to use the straps because they're very restrictive on the way you can position the camera. So I use this HME trail camera holder. I think they cost about $10 or $12. There's also a DIY project you can make your own. That's kind of fun too, but I prefer this one right now for what I'm doing. And on the back of the camera, you can see that there is a little screw hole in the back of the camera. That screw hole just screws right onto the camera mount. And get it here in a second. And it screws on there. And when the camera gets in the position you want it, you just tighten up the wing nuts that are on the back. I'm going to quickly mount this thing so you can see, but there we go. We've got it mounted to the tree. As far as positioning goes, that's where your cell phone comes into play. We are going to go back into the Spypoint app again, and we are going to go to where the camera is. And I'm just going to open this camera up, and I'm going to turn it on. Now, it's going to go through all of its settings again, and it's going to go through the whole process of finding the signal and checking in and everything. And then what's going to happen is it is going to connect with the app, and the app is going to say, hey, well, the settings are different now, and it's going to download those settings into the camera, and the camera is going to be set up by the app is the settings we have changed. talk to you a little bit about setting this thing up when you mount it to the tree while it's going through its whole process here. Number one, most of us are using these to hunt deer, or to look for deer. So you want to set your camera up where it's about the same level as the deer's body is going to be, and the camera is going to be aimed so the center of the deer's body is going to be in the center of the screen. The best thing to do with these cameras is to have them mounted 2 to 3 feet off the ground, looking straight out and level at wherever the deer is going to be. And you want to set these cameras up within 25 feet of where the deer is going to be. If you're putting this camera up in a tree, like I see people do, angling it down, you're going to greatly reduce your trigger range because the deer is going to pretty much have to walk right through that trigger to be able to set it off. If you have this thing mounted at ground level looking parallel straight out, what's going to happen is any deer that walks in through there between the camera and 100 feet away, which is the detection range, is going to trigger this camera to go off. So it takes a little practice, but I find that most people that aren't happy with their camera and the way it's behaving, it's because they don't have it set up properly and it's set in a way that's going to help them out. So if you set this camera up 2 to 3 feet off the ground, parallel with where the deer's body is, you should be good to go. So I'm looking at the camera, and the green status, or the blue status light is on right now, which means it's doing something. So I'm going to go to the gallery for this camera, and I'm going to refresh it and see. No, it hasn't sent me any pictures yet. So we'll go back to the status of this thing. Well, the status light just went off, so that's a good sign. So I'll refresh this again, no pictures yet, but we're going to go to the camera and we're going to go to status on the camera, and this is something you can look into, and I'm going to see that at 4:02 p.m. it checked in, which is what time it is right now. So the blue light is on again, which means this camera is probably taking a picture right now of me, and we'll go back to the gallery, and I should start getting pictures in fairly soon. We're going to give it a second here and see what happens. But that is how to set your camera up. And while I'm waiting for this to come through here, we can talk a little bit more about setting up your camera if you want to. When you set these cameras up, I mentioned that setting it up high looking down is not a good idea. That works if you're setting it up on a feeder or a corn pile. That works pretty well. Another thing to remember when you're setting these cameras up is if you're setting the camera up on a trail, it's not a good idea to have the camera facing right in front of where the deer is going to walk. I actually prefer to angle my cameras kind of down the trail a little bit, so as the deer walks by, you'll catch him walking away. As it comes to you, you'll catch him, and you have more of a chance of actually getting that camera to trigger a good picture of the deer. And there we go. I just got a notification on my phone that a picture came through, so I swiped down, and sure enough, there's the video of me talking to you guys. So my camera is now up and running and working, and I know it's working, so all I've got to do now is just close this little door, latch it, and walk away, and it's ready to go. So I think we covered everything. Thank you again for watching this video, and also remember, if you want to purchase one of these or anything we've talked about, there's going to be links in the comment section as well as the description of the video. Stay tuned because there are more Spypoint videos coming. I'm going to do a comparison of this one and all the other ones I have in there, as well as other brand cameras and other videos too. So hopefully you subscribed. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Maybe it'll help you out. If it does, drop me a comment and let me know, because I always love getting feedback from people. Thanks again. I can't wait to see you guys in the next video. And as I always say, I wish everybody nothing but tight lines and short blood trails. See you next time.